Howdy, howdy. This is Mr. Potter. What we're going to do today is we're going to take a slight deviation from what we've been doing in the past. We've been dealing primarily with our grid world application and how to manipulate objects using the turn and the move, and also how to repeat tasks using loops. But one of the things that we really use computers a lot for is to manipulate data. In particular, manipulating text is one of the important things that we do with computers. And so we're going to spend the next couple of days talking about how to manipulate text. And to do that, we need to start with a new file. So I'm going to go File, New File. And it's going to be a empty Java file. And I'm going to call this file strings. So this is going to be my strings file here. And I'm going to talk about first the idea of a class and how we write a class. And this is something, the bare minimum that we need is we need to have a class file, which is basically an envelope that keeps all of our code together. So I'm going to type public class strings, and then inside of this I'm going to put some braces, and all of our code has to be between these braces. And then we're going to have our main method, which we've been dealing with in the previous ones. So I'm going to have public static void main string args. And each of these parts are important. We'll talk more about this args part in a later chapter. But today, the main idea is going to be behind this concept of string. Because a string is basically a collection of characters, a collection of letters or numbers or symbols or glyphs, whatever you want to call them. And we're going to be manipulating those symbols in this class. So I'm going to start with declaring a variable. And this is very similar to the way that we declared a bug before. So I can say string name gets new string and just create a default string. Now what happens is that this string that I've created is completely empty. In other words, it has zero length. It has no characters within it. And so later on, I can say name gets Sandra Day O'Connor. And again, I'm putting this in quotations because I want all of these symbols to be here. And what I can do is I can tell the computer to print both before and after. System.out.println is the way that we print stuff to the system output. So I'd have system.out.println name, and it would print the contents of the name variable. And if I tell it to do that again, it'll print it out a second time. So we're going to go ahead and run this just to see what happens. And so notice I've got a blank line at the beginning here because at the very beginning when I create a new string, my string contains nothing, and so nothing is printed to the screen. The next time I've assigned name to this string literal, this little bunch of stuff here, and now my string contains the word Sandra Day O'Connor. Now I can save the middleman, and I can just kind of say string address gets, and I can put what I want to be equal to in quotes. So I can do 1, 2, 2, 2, 1 Leslie Road. So that's our school's address. And then I can do system.out.println address. And now if I run this code, I should have our school's name and our school's address. So I can declare strings either by using the by using the string constructor and then later assigning it, or I can declare strings using the string literal, or I can do a combination of both. So I could do string city gets new string hello notice. So now I've got this concept of a city called Helotus here. And if I do system.out.println city, then it's going to print that city. So I see Sandra Day O'Connor, 12-21 Leslie Road, Helotus. And I can do the same thing for state. And zip code. And I can do system.out.println state and system.out.println zip. And if I do this, then what's going to happen is it's going to print each of these but it's going to print each of these on its own line. And so what I really want to do is I really want to find some way to kind of put the string together. And we can do this in a fairly straightforward way. So the thing is, Sandra Day O'Connor, this line that I've got here, line 7 of my code, this is the first row of our address. And this 12221 Leslie Road, this is the second row of our address. But if I was making an address label, I'd really want the city and the state and the zip code to kind of all show up on a third line. So I don't want to print city. And I don't want to print state or zip. What I actually want to do is I want to create a string called third line. And it's going to be equal to the city plus a space plus state plus a space plus zip. And this act is called concatenation. The idea of building a string together by adding together two strings to get a larger string. And then what I can do here is I can system.out.print line third line. And what this will do is this will print this whole third line for me. So I see Sandra Day O'Connor, 12221 Leslie Road, and then hello to Texas 78023. All put on the same line because I built a new string that concatenates, or that puts together the other two strings. And one of the things you'll notice is that I put these quotes and spaces up here, and that's because if I don't put those quotes and spaces, if all I do is I take city plus state plus zip, and I try and run that program, I'm going to notice that everything's kind of smushed together. This concatenation sometimes can work too well, and I need to find a way to make sure I insert those spaces. One of the solutions, of course, would be to insert the spaces in the data itself. I could put a space in hello to, I could put a space in Texas, and I could put a space at 78023. And that'll work. That'll get me the desired output. But in general, we usually don't want to manipulate our data. What we want to do instead is we want to manipulate our output technique. So I want to add a space to the output, and I want to add a space to the output. And this gives me format that I want. And of course, the order of the lines is important, but really I don't have to declare a variable and then immediately use it. I could wait until later. I can actually put it here. And similarly, I could put this system out print line address here, and then print out the third line. So I can actually do all of my assigning of data at one point in the program, and as long as I print it out afterwards, I'm okay. Notice that if I print before I assign the data, like here I'm printing out the value of name before I assign it Sandra Day O'Connor, then I'm going to print exactly what's in there, which is namely a blank string. So the idea behind this is several things. Number one, the idea that we can create a variable of type string, and a string is a type that holds letters, numbers, characters, glyphs. I can put punctuation in there. We'll find later on that I can actually put special characters, which we'll call escape characters, in there. And I create it, I can create it exactly the way that I created a bug. So here I can just use the string constructor. I can even create it the same way we created a blue bug, by calling on the string constructor with a parameter, something inside those parentheses. But a third way that I can create a string is by using the string literal. And I can do the string literal by putting anything within quotes. So I can either assign, I can either declare and then initialize, or I can declare and initialize in the same statement. And then, of course, we have this way of printing out stuff to the console, printing stuff out so that the user can see it. And in this class, we're going to see a lot of manipulation of strings. Like we may need to find where a particular val is, or where a particular part of the string is, or we may need to change the order of a string. We may need to find the last occurrence of a letter. We may need to find the length of the string. In some way, shape, form, we're going to have to manipulate these strings. And by manipulating the variable itself is going to allow us to get this information out that we need. And of course, the primary method of displaying this information is by using the system out print line command. This actually prints the contents of the string to the screen. So once again, this is Mr. Potter. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.